Kung ang impresyon ng tao, palakasan system na rin pala. Napakahirap naman yata nun. Malaking gulo po yun, di ba? Hey guys, you're in a nutshell with me, Ina. In this episode, we will talk about yung mga kalokohan sa loob ng IRCC. Akala niyo, porque tayo po ay nandito na sa Canada, wala nang mga pasaway na mga empleyado ng gobyerno? Of course not. Siyempre, meron at meron yan. Hindi naman mawawala yan. There will always be, kung tawagin nga, bad apples in every organization or community. O sige, puntahan natin itong sa IRCC. Last week po kasi, yung mismong ahensya, yung IRCC, naglabas sila ng report. Okay, revealing data on its employees being investigated for different kinds of misconduct. Okay, o at least transparent, ano? Kaya nilabas nila ito. And I think the ultimate goal here is really to show people na talagang dapat silang pagkatiwalaan because they are acting on these types of incidents, these types of cases. That's why they are being transparent, di ba? O sige, actually at the start of this report, meron ng message from the Deputy Minister. Sabi nga dito, in an organization of more than 10,000 employees, some level of wrongdoing will occur. Oo naman, that's inevitable. And reporting such matters is essential as we are committed to reviewing all allegations of perceived misconduct or wrongdoing through thorough review and investigation and to taking administrative action when warranted. I believe lahat ng mga naka-report dito ay iniimbestigahan na po nila. Yan. Puntahan natin, may chart dito tungkol dun sa mga kaso. Tignan natin, ano ba yung mga uri ng misconduct nang nangyayari dito sa IRCC? Ayan, cases of misconduct and wrongdoing. This is for the period 2024 to 2025. Every year, nag-update sila, naglalabas sila ng mga ganitong data. Alright? O, ito na. Ang summary, guys. Tignan ninyo. O. Sa totoo lang, konti lang ito, no? Kung tutuusin, 10,000 plus daw yung employees ng IRCC. At sa bilang na ito, ilan to? 56, 70, 80. Sabi mo ng about 100 cases of misconduct and wrongdoing. Maliit na porsyento ito. Of course, these are cases na nahuli, no? So, ang may pinakamarami, administrative misconduct. Later on, hihimayin po natin, ano ba tong administrative misconduct? Iba't ibang mga uri din po kasi yan. So, may 56 cases discovered. Sumunod na may pinakamarami, harassment, violence, and disrespectful behaviors. Pangalawa, breach of values and ethics code and IRCC's code of conduct. Meron pala, na-miss ko, yung 13 cases of violation of IRCC's directive on the acceptable use of electronic networks and devices. Hula ko siguro ito yung mga gumagamit ng mga computer sa office for personal research, yung mga ganun ba? Or siguro pwede yung mga tumitingin ng files ng kanilang mga kakilala, no? Okay, and then yung mga sumunod, mga 1 to 3 cases na lang of staffing complaint misconduct, 3. May 2 personal security violation and then isa sa fraud and financial misconduct. Unahin nating himayin yung sa administrative misconduct. 56 cases. So ito po yan, breakdown ng administrative misconduct. Majority of the group, 47 sa kanila, out of 56. Time theft, tardiness, absenteeism, and or unauthorized leave. Mga nawawala, hindi pumapasok. Tapos yung 10 iniimbestigahan for insubordination or failure to carry out duties or specific tasks or to follow instructions. Doon sa time theft, tardiness, and pagiging absent. Interestingly, ito po yung na-highlight sa ilang mga reports na nakikita kong pinag-uusapan to. Merong isang empleyado daw holding 2 full-time positions in the government of Canada. Paano nga naman yun? Okay, siguro kaya siya laging absent. Ano ba, nagfu-full-time din sa isa pang posisyon? Posible ba yun? How is this person splitting his time between 2 full-time jobs? Right? Okay. Let me just read to you some of the other types of cases. Claim ng overtime work, hindi naman nagtrabaho. Nag-call in sick daw, pero nag-attend naman pala talaga ng conference. Ayan, mas marami. 6, multiple unauthorized absences from the workplace, and many others. Okay, kung tutuusin, not so serious, pero the issue itself of absenteeism, kaya po yan binabantayan syempre ng IRCC because, it could affect the processing of files. Diba? Makaka-apekto yan syempre sa workflow. Now, let me bring you to some of the more interesting misconducts reported here. Ayan. Tingnan ninyo. Patungkol dun sa breach of values and ethics code and IRCC's code of conduct. An executive engaged in gross mismanagement and seriously breached IRCC's code of conduct by giving preferential treatment to a romantic partner. Paano kaya? Hindi sinabi kung paano yung tong preferential treatment nito. Failing to address multiple conflicts of interest and routinely using highly disrespectful language towards staff and colleagues. Hindi po nakabanggit ang pangalan ng executive na ito, but I can only assume higher ranking official ito ng IRCC kasi executive na siya i-refer dito. Itong sunod, meron din yung parang mga favors sa mga kamag-anak. O, nakasulat dito. An executive committed a serious breach of IRCC's code of conduct by attempting to arrange a reciprocal hiring exchange involving their niece, creating an apparent conflict of interest even though the exchange never occurred. Similarly, ito raw, may isang executive pressuring subordinates to hire and assist individuals connected to them, and by directing staff to manipulate staffing and pay decisions in ways that constituted counseling others to commit wrongdoing. At least dito sa IRCC, no, parang isa-isang kaso na mga ganitong uri ng misconduct. Naku po. Paano kaya kung imbestigahan yung iba't ibang mga ahensya sa Pilipinas? Oh my gosh. Sorry, no? I can't help but think about that. And then others here, medyo related sa pagdadivulge ng confidential information. An employee disclosed information to a third party who was not privy to the information. May privacy breach din. An employee did not follow the established work procedures. So there, I think these are the more interesting cases of misconduct or wrongdoings na nadiskubre. Bakit ba kailangan malaman? No? Ang tanong dyan, bakit kailangan natin malaman? Ano bang pakialam natin, tayo mga nanonood ng in a nutshell? Well, kung ako, ang tatanungin, mahalaga talagang minomonitor ang lahat ng uri ng misconduct. Bakit? May epekto po yan sa serbisyo ng IRCC. For example, dun sa kaso ng absenteeism, maaaring pong mag-cause ng processing delays if that situation worsens, right? It could mean longer waiting times. It could lead to expired permits. Hindi po. Yung issue rin halimbawa, binabantayan nila yung breach of privacy o yung pagda-divulge din ng confidential information. That's very important because applicants don't want any sensitive information being shared to other people, right? Mahalaga na merong tiwala sa immigration system for it to work. Imagine, lalo na dito sa opisina ng immigration ng IRCC, kung ang impresyon ng tao, palakasan system na rin pala. Napakahirap naman yata nun. Malaking gulo po yun, di ba? Kailangan pala may kakilala, kailangan pala may kamag-anak para ma-process ng mas mabilis ang iyong papel, di ba? Siyempre, by regularly monitoring misconduct, reporting this to the public is a way to prevent these things from happening or from getting worse. Para maiwasan yung mga ganong sitwasyon. I mean, come on, let's be real. Galing tayo sa isang bansa kung saan napaka-rampant ng mga palakasan system. We don't want that happening here at that level, right? As much as possible, we want to see an immigration system that is merits-based, rules-based, walang bias, lalo na walang korapsyon, ano? Parang wala naman ako nakitang merong bribery o yung binibigyan ng lagay, yung mga ganyan ba? Oh my, no? Teka nga, babalikan ko nga kung baka nga naman merong mention ng bribery dito or bribes. Okay, wala naman. At least not in this case for the year 2024 to 2025. Pero sige, balikan natin pala bago tayo magtapos. Short but sweet lang po tong episode natin. Ano? So ano ang ginagawa ngayon ng IRCC dito sa mga na-discovering cases na ito? Nakasulat din po dito, may breakdown din po sila. Ito po, tingnan nyo, merong corrective measures taken. Pinakamarami, training, pinag-training, may letter of expectation, written reprimand, suspension, okay, recovery of funds to the Crown, and meron ding termination. Mayroon pong iba't ibang uri ng corrective measures, depende po doon sa kaso. Merong mga tinatanggal do po doon sa unit nila. Ayan, halimbawa dito. At least honest, di ba? At least transparent ang data ng IRCC. Yun naman yung maganda dito. Okay, so let me know what you guys think. We will end this episode here. See you guys in the next one. Bye!